Welcome back. It's nice to be back after a 6 month sabbatical from this podcast, from this show. And this first episode after a long time, I want to share my journey over the last 6 months. And at the same time, I actually want to share the experience that I'm going to take this podcast and everything that I do forward and how it might impact your both drive for success and achievement and your impact in the world and your expression, and also your well being, happiness, and feeling fulfilled on your journey while you're going after those goals that you're dreaming about. And that's why I'm calling both this episode Big Dreams, No Pressure, and I've actually shifted the Flow Habit podcast to the similar Big Dreams, No Pressure podcast and show. Why is this the case? Well, if you have gotten to know me over time, I am not only saying you have to work hard and you have to achieve and you have to perform like the high performance industry is doing. And I'm also not saying, guys, slow down. What are you doing? You need to relax. You need to chill. Like, what are you rushing after? And there are very important bodies of work and great people who are uh, recommending both sides of the story, right? Achieve, perform, impact, create. You're here to express and push the world forward in a way. And on the other hand, you're here to relax and enjoy and be at rest and play and do all of this stuff. And I couldn't sit with both of these realities because when I was in the high achiever mode, something was missing. Because every time I would achieve another milestone, another goal, it wouldn't be enough. Like I couldn't celebrate. I wouldn't even enjoy it in a minute. I wasn't actually enjoying the process. And every time something happened that got me to my goal, I felt this sense of dread in a way that, oh my God, I don't have that goal anymore. And then I needed to find the next goal. And that searching period for the next goal was not comfortable whatsoever. And uncomfortable to the point that to the point of depression. Like, what's the point of my life if I have nothing, no goal to strive for? And I saw that something wasn't working about that approach in life, right? And the high performance, high achievement industry kind of, okay, find your purpose. Here's how you find your purpose. And until you find your purpose, kind of you're useless piece of material just floating around space that nobody needs or wants. And it's an interesting perspective about your purpose, your life, who we are here. And at the same time, so then I sort of switched over into the other side where it's like, okay, it's not about performance. It's not about productivity. It's not about achievement of goals or impact. It's about relaxing, chilling, going with the flow, completely kind of being nonchalant, surrender to what is going to happen in my day, and completely let go of the gas pedal so that simply get to relax and enjoy the journey, right? And there I was still not comfortable with where I was. Kind of, there were still more things I wanted to do. There were um, uh, drive inside me that wanted to express, wanted to do something, and it couldn't just sit still. And this is where I believe we're carving out a new way. And there are others who are also in this realm and in this journey. We're actually combining the two worlds of high performance and this, the way I call it, peak experience, where we're enjoying the journey and enjoying our life. And we're combining the two. And this is really why I created flow habit concept in the first place is where we combine the peak performance with the peak experience. And that's where we actually create this amazing flow. And not only just flowing with life, but like flow towards our dreams and goals. And we get to create it from an empowered state. Okay. So this is why I'm calling this big dreams, no pressure, is that yes, we are here to have a big dreams. We're not here like many of the spiritual teachings from the East would say, well, you need to go for uh, desirelessness, where we need to let go of all of our worldly desires and we need to become spiritual. And funny enough, I've been there and I killed off all of my desires. And then I got stuck on the world for a number of years trying to re-engage my desires because I pushed them so far away from myself. Um, putting filters on my desires, thinking that it's like, ooh, that desire is not good. That desire is dirty. That desire for money is bad, right? And in a way, going from the achievement and consumerism and high performance world to this desirelessness of the spirituality, uh, and then now I'm back and really um, from that hero's journey, I'm bringing back the gifts of the both worlds so that we now get to combine the two, where we get to go after our dreams, we get to have our desires, and at the same time, our journey towards those goals is going to be completely pressureless, stressless, anxiety less, and all of the stuff where we simply are going after what it is that we want to create and while completely being in the present, enjoying the journey and welcoming all of the interesting um, shortcuts, detours along the way. Because most of the time, what happens when we are too much in, I need to achieve my dreams and I need to achieve my goals. What happens in that state is when our mind locks onto a specific expectation and target, it creates a logical plan, like a step by step milestone that within a week or within a month, I need to be at this stage, right? If you're building a business, okay, I need to have released a product, I need to start getting some attention, I need to start having conversations. And if I don't, and if something happens that does not meet the expectations that the mind created for this linear path to reach the goal, then the mind starts to freak out. And that is what is creating a lot of the stress and pressure in many of the amazing leaders in the world. And my intention with this entire message, with everything that I'm doing with people, to one, inspire a lot of people who have their dreams and goals, but there's that fear that, oh, I cannot afford to go after that, or I'm not able, I don't have enough resources, I don't have enough knowledge. Who am I to do all of this? I want to encourage all of you guys who might be thinking that, oh, I wish I could do that thing, while you feel pretty much stuck and jailed in to paying the bills. And because you have to pay the bills, and because maybe as you have grown a little bit in your careers and you have created a certain level of comfortable living with cars and houses and mortgages, where stepping away is not even an opportunity or a possibility for you due to the financial responsibilities that you have acquired, perhaps with your family and otherwise. What happens in that state is what I call being in the golden handcuffs, which is, yes, the work I am doing or I have been doing pays well and it pays great, but I no longer enjoy doing it and I'm no longer inspired to do it. And I've spent a lot of time, many years in this state. So I have full, complete compassion to the reality of the experience, thinking that I just cannot afford to drop this thing that pays me really well, that pays for my certain comfort level of living that I've gotten accustomed to, that pays for my family and my loved ones. And which pretty much means that I can't really work for my goals and dreams, and that maybe I won't be as financially supported if I go start this thing on my own. And my part of the work I'm doing, and part of the number of people that come to me, are people who are sort of stuck in those situations. And funny enough, or unfortunate enough, um, when people are stuck in those situations, life begins to push them out of that, in a way, self-imposed jail cell of thinking that I cannot afford to leave this comfortable, high-paying job. And what life does, it kind of takes the job away. It takes the money away. It starts to compress and make the life that was comfortable before, it begins to make it uncomfortable for you, so that the situation becomes more uncomfortable to stay in than risk and trying and maybe starting something new in a new career, in a new field, maybe going into a new job situation, something that perhaps um, you are not sure yet if it's going to give you the exact same financial prosperity and abundance. And at the same time, there's that sense of inkling inside that there's an inspiration, there's that light at the end of the tunnel that, oh, I would give so much to be able to go after those things. And so we simply rely on life. And unfortunately, sometimes um, if we're not if we're not allowing ourselves to go after those dreams, life is going to begin to make things a little uncomfortable to the mind. And this is also part of the stress and pressure that our minds put on ourselves by resisting what is happening in my life, rather than, let's say, somebody gets laid off, the mind would go into scarcity and fear and everything that's like, oh my God, this is the worst thing happening to me, rather than being able to see the situation as like, wow, is it perhaps happening so that I get to look over my life situation over the last few number of years, and maybe it is time for a change, and maybe I've actually wanted to go after that change, but I've been hesitating, and I've been um, delaying some of the actions that I actually wanted to do, and maybe this message from life that got me laid off, or that had money taken away somehow, that maybe this is now leading me to some new opportunities. And of course, when we are operating from the state of lack, insecurity, insufficiency, maybe um, the mind can't function in any other way than watch out for threats, right? It's like when we are at that stage and we lose the um, secure funding source, the mind goes into, oh, we're not safe. We got to go and create something out of that. Well, this is where kind of the big dreams component comes, that you are here to actually follow your dreams, and you're here to create those things that you are getting inspired by. And sometimes people say, it's like, which has been the case with me, is I didn't know what my dream was. I didn't know what my goal was. And that's okay, because in a way, part of our journey, right? Well, what is that quote that says that the meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to give it away. So it's all part of our journeys. And when you do have that dream, that you have it for a particular reason, because there's a certain aspect of you that knows that this is what you're here to create, because uh, you can consider, out of many of your friends and maybe your network, you may be the only one with that dream and goal, right? For some reason, other people don't have that goal. They have other dreams and goals. And this is the kind design of the universe and of our life, that we're not going to have, the entire population, 8 billion of people, wanting to become the next Elon Musks of the world, or become the next, guru sitting up on the mountain. We each have our unique gifts and expressions that we're here to bring to the world. So learning to listen, begin to open up to the dreams that you actually have is actually quite an important and very useful thing to do, because this is actually your gift to the world. And as we are opening up, as sort of I'm inspiring everybody to go after the dreams, like, if you ever wanted to open up a little, maybe beer brewery, or open up your own hair salon, or maybe combine certain things, combine several businesses into one, right? It's like, as um, an example, a nail salon could combine it with a bit of maybe a kids daycare, so that there's like a day spa, and then moms can come with their little kids, and they get to play as well. So an example like this, right? It's like, the ideas like that come to people who are meant to execute on them, because there are other people who are ready and waiting for your particular expressions to take part in them, to enjoy them, to experience them. And similarly, this is also the kind side of the creation and of life, that simply by definition, that there's an inkling and there's a desire of you doing a certain thing, by definition means there is at least one other person who also desires to receive that gift right away. Right? This is there is no waste in life. If you've been in nature, there isn't actually any waste in nature. And so uh, your gift that you actually want to express, to experience, to share with the world, you will not have that gift unless there's somebody else who wants to receive it, right? Otherwise, it would have been kind of waste of everything if you're doing stuff and nobody wants it. And yet I understand the fears and uncertainties and worries that come. What if I go for it and nobody wants it, right? And I've dealt with that myself, especially if we are the ones who are bringing some new information, some new products and services into the world. What if it's not going to be received? What if the world is not ready? And this is the part of the journey that we are here to go through, to learn to understand that my dreams are actually what I'm here for, and my dreams matter, and my dreams are being waited for by the world, right? So it's a huge part of having the dreams and executing on them and going after them. And at the same time, the second part of this, of course, is the no pressure, which is, if you are being driven towards your dream while you are completely pressured to pay the bills, to take care of your family and loved ones, to work 16, 20-hour days, 7 days a week, if there is this internal pressure to make sure that everything happens, what kind of life experience is that? And is that really what you have come here for? To go after your dream and to execute on it and to share and express it with the world while feeling all of this weight of pressure and responsibility, right? This is not, at least my preferred reality, my preferred experience. I have definitely dealt with it, and I understand there's a lot of people in startup worlds, in entrepreneurship, and coaching space, where um, people are putting so much pressure on themselves in order to get the idea out into the world. And so, for those who are feeling that pressure, I'm also here to share that there is a different way out of this. And um, how that really works out is that we need to completely rewire what has been driving and motivating us behind the scenes. In the first place, when I have dreams and I have this pressure, this is what I call the high achiever conditioning, or in a way, kind of a pressure habit response, which is if I don't put pressure on myself, or if nobody else puts pressure on myself, then I'm going to just sit still. And if I sit still, then I'm not going to do anything because I'm a lazy bum. And when I sit still, don't do anything because I'm a lazy bum, I'm actually going to end up like a failure and do nothing with my life. And when I end up like a failure, nobody's going to love me. I'm going to end up alone, and eventually I'm going to die. Right? It's like this is a very interesting and yet very clear mental perspective of many driven business people who are actually creating great things in the world, but inside that is their maybe unconscious motivating factor and drive until we bring it out and express it like this, that, hey, are you sure you're not driven by the fears that there's a certain aspect of you that might be feeling that you are a failure underneath all of the achievements and the successes and the masks you've put on yourself? And that aspect of you is that little boy or little girl inside who has been abandoned, who has felt alone, who has felt um, not belonging and separate and disconnected. And that aspect does not want to experience that anymore. So it needs to prove itself to the world, and it needs to achieve and acquire all of these successes and accolades so that I get the attention and so that I don't feel like a failure or that, I'll end up dying. So this is the main aspect of people who are operating from big dreams and lots of pressure. And this is also being amplified by many of the current high performance industry, saying that your purpose in the world is to impact millions of people. Right? when we say that, it catches onto that mental um, part of ourselves that is feeling not enough, that is constantly looking, what is the meaning of my life? And when you bring that little cookie in front of that part and say, you are here to impact a million people, that part that felt useless and abandoned and never paid attention to gets lit up. It's like, oh my gosh, I get to impact a million people. Wow. Yes, I want that. I want that. And because you know how much impacting a million people is gonna bring me and how much I'm gonna get if I impact a million people. And so now we have many people going after their dreams, so to say, trying to make the impact of these millions of people while not really enjoying the journey, while feeling all of this pressure, while feeling like a failure. And every time that they get a rejection, it just hits and burns a certain part of themselves that, oh my God, how am I ever going to get to impact a million people when I cannot even impact one person? And this is what I'm all about. I'm all about looking for the psychological reasons behind our various states. And from everything I've experienced, from the people I speak with, when we're driven by the fact that I need to impact a million people, sometimes that is being spoken by a part of ourselves that is feeling not enough and not accepted. And that in order for it to be feel enough and that it has meaning, it needs to latch onto these external goals that need to have an impact. When in fact, through the work that we do at Flow Habit Academy and through the work that I do with people, we really go through this U shape, kind of a little dip that I call, where we need to really discover the motivating factors and the drives behind our big dreams, which parts and aspects of ourselves are actually driven by those things, right? Many times after we do some work, people will go, was like, wow, like I actually feel good enough now. I don't think I need to impact millions of people. I'm okay just having running a small business and having just 5, 10 clients and maybe just even one big client that pays me good, comfortable financial layer that I am doing the work I love. I know it's serving the world in some way, and I don't actually want to have the millions of people of impact. And sometimes other people actually they get unlocked even more that wow, if I go through this dip and I look at some of the insecurities that have been driving me, I needed to impact those people so that I feel okay about myself, so that I feel enough, so that I feel like I have a meaning in my life. Once we look at all of that, they actually become completely unleashed to be their authentic selves, knowing that they don't need to impact anybody. And that by just being themselves and shining their beautiful expression to everybody that comes across them and they just express with their joy and what they truly desire to experience in them day to day, then all of a sudden, things that they've been trying so hard to achieve before, all of a sudden, an opportunity comes in that a friend might call them saying, hey, I have this event happening in the next 2 months, and I'm looking for speakers in these particular topics. And I know you've actually been studying this and you're an expert, and would you like to come speak? And all of a sudden, these opportunities come, and with just one expression, they impact thousands of people in the room. That session get recorded. That becomes the most watched, TEDx video or one of those online phenomenon that get viral. And then you actually impact 1 million people. But what did you do for it? Not much. You were just being yourself. You were just following your own curiosities, inquiring in topics that you are actually curious about. And by doing so, the impact naturally unfolds. As long as you sort of don't limit yourself by the number million, right? Because if it's 900,090, is that going to still be a success, or because it's not 1 million, then it's going to be a failure? This is one of those things that come with the big dreams, no pressure, is that we set our big dreams as these, I'd say them like direction or like a North Star that we are going after. And what happens when we do that, not from the perspective that this is now my goal that I'm attaching myself to and that I'm going to hold myself accountable towards, and I expect things to work out in this particular linear order in order for myself to get there. When we set this big dream saying, wow, this is one of many possibilities that I can see right now that I am excited about, that inspires me from the inside out, that there's something in me that gets lit up when I think about this dream. And when we just simply put that as that North Star, and then we actually pull back all of the expectations, all of the plans, all of the mental stuff that we used to operate from, and we begin to operate from curiosity, as in, it's like, I wonder how this is gonna come about. Right. And maybe we create like the plans overall, like, okay, in order to get there over the next, 90 days, maybe 5, 10 years, whatever your project is and whatever the timeline is that you're working with. If we have these sort of scaffolding of a project plan and we start to execute, and then all of a sudden something happens that it does not happen the way we initially planned, it turns out that there's somebody who's already working on that, and they are actually looking for a partner, or maybe they got into financial trouble and they're looking for a sponsor, an investor, or somebody to come in and rescue them financially, or maybe they're selling the stuff they have been working on over the last few years, and all of a sudden you have an opportunity to catch up on your progress over a few years just by kind of buying into somebody else's work, right? In reality, this is how these things happen, that until and unless we remove the expectation and attachment that things need to go according to plan and become available to all sorts of gifts and opportunities that might come in our way, right? Many times as well, if we're the high achiever, and the conditioning that I have to be the one who achieves, otherwise I'm not good enough, we're going to overlook and feel guilty about seeing and receiving gifts that might come our way, right? Maybe a neighbor will say, "It's like, hey, I have this thing. Would you like it?" We'll be like, "Oh, no, no, no. It's okay. We got it. I can do it on my own." And maybe it's gifts from past coworkers or bosses who have sold their companies, and now they just want to invest into your company, and you're like, "No, no, no, it's okay. I can't." And or maybe you'll feel guilty. And until we look at all of this stuff that's underneath that has been running and pressuring you to be the one to do all of this stuff, and you open up to the possibility of how things might unfold with curiosity, we are now welcoming all of these shortcuts and gifts and things to support us on our journey, to shorten the timeline, to um, allow us financial support from various different areas, including like gifts and synchronicities of the world. And whenever things don't go according to the plan, we're no longer anxious about things. We're no longer resisting them. Because this is the biggest pressure that I see with people, with founders, with business owners, is that I have to have things go according to plan. Otherwise, my life is over. Right. Or to that extent, it's like I need to control things, because otherwise, my dreams and aspirations are not going to come to fruition how I have created them to be. And with that, if I am setting that goal, what's also interesting that's happening is, let's say I've set that goal from the level of awareness and consciousness that I had at the time of setting that goal. Let's say you had that goal since you were very little. Maybe you had that goal since a couple of years ago. Maybe you had it last week. And over time, you are learning new things. You are expanding in your awareness. Technologies are constantly improving and bettering ourselves to allow our minds to expand to even greater possibilities of what could be, right? In the world of AI, did you even think that we could have computers be creating such amazing videos that you cannot tell whether it's a real person or AI generated copy? Most people did not even have that in their awareness a number of years ago. Now this is our reality. And because we have this as a possibility now, do you think your dreams might actually also continue to rise and expand? And I'm saying this to encourage you to say that if things are not going according to plan, to how you have believed them, they need to go in order for you to achieve your goals and aspirations, that maybe you are being derailed on purpose so that you can see things from a different perspective, so that you can take a pause, take a bird's eye view, maybe um, see things from a different way that you've been seeing them, to notice that the initial goal is actually the lowest and most limited version. Right? An example, you might be saying, okay, I wish I had, 200,000, 300,000 of yearly income. And you're gonna be striving towards that, and I want to go towards it because if something goes in my day or in my week that's gonna take me off track, then oh my God, I'm gonna lose that goal of 300,000 a year. But what if that client that you just lost, or that proposal that didn't go through, or that investment that you were looking for didn't come about, did not, so that you actually don't get to the 300,000 a year goal, and you go take a break and you go to the coffee shop and you sit down and you meet an old friend, and all of a sudden they make an investment, or they suggest an idea, or they connect you with somebody, that all of a sudden within a few days the possibility becomes making 3-4 million a year, maybe 30, 40, maybe 100. And can you see how the mind would have resisted? Oh my God, I am never going to meet my $300,000 a year goal now. While at the same time, you're actually being guided and shown these shortcuts to get to a much higher goal that your mind didn't even see as possible before. So that's why kind of I think the big dreams, I keep coming back to reducing and alleviating and addressing all of the pressure and anxiety that we have put on ourselves in order to try to go after our dreams. Because without the pressure, we are allowing the bigger aspect of ourselves to step in and actually be in charge, right? These are kind of the major things that I'm going to be going into with this podcast. I'm going to be both supporting people to go after your dreams, to assist you and help you from the emotional, psychological aspect, to make sure that you are operating at your most optimal as the founder, as the visionary, to go after the things without the self doubt, without the fears, while at the same time to allow your mind to take a back seat a little bit, that it doesn't need to be in control of everything, that maybe there's a bigger, higher control happening, that like a river flowing, that maybe if you just hop into the canoe and you just sit still, the canoe is going to follow the river and it's going to get you to the right place at the right time. Right. This is the big aspect of being in flow and having and starting your days in flow. And um, that is what I'm excited to share. Having and inspiring you to go after your dreams while having no pressure to go after them. Because when we are enjoying, and a lot of these successful startup and founder people are saying that it has actually been proven that there's a much higher of success for all of these leaders and people when they're simply enjoying what they're doing without the disciplined, pressured approaches like you have to. Because time and time again, what I do with high achievers, you have overdeveloped your discipline muscle. You get really good at pushing and pressing yourself into developing all of these habits so that you have these morning routines, so that you go do all of the time. And then all of a sudden you get these self-sabotaging behaviors from these aspects of you who have felt abandoned, right? These little kids inside who actually want to play, who want to enjoy life, who want to dream again. And they have been suppressed because these inner parts, they're saying, it's like, I want to take a break. I want to go for a walk. I want to read a book. I want to watch this movie. And the disciplined inner critic, I call him the inner slave driver. He's saying, with a whip, shh, you can't, you're not allowed. This is not going to get us to our dreams. And as we work through all of these parts, and as we begin to listen and hear these certain unconscious parts who have been vying for your attention, and as you begin listening to them, maybe they'll stop sabotaging all of your efforts, right? And that sabotage happens in all kinds of ways, all of kinds of addictive distraction behavior that could be financially costly, could be costly in our other ways, in our relationships, in our personal lives and health, where we're no longer trying to escape the disciplined pressure that we have put on ourselves through, addictive behaviors and maybe in drinking and smoking and all of these things that are trying to suppress the actual feelings and emotions that we feel. And instead, we begin to reduce that overdeveloped discipline muscle and we begin to develop, which is basically, I'm calling the flow muscle, where it is actually okay to relax into the flow of life and to begin paying attention to all of those other parts that we have neglected. And as we see them again in a conscious way, as we reconnect with them, saying it's like, oh, I'm so sorry you've been trapped in there and they pushed you away for so long. I didn't even realize that you were there. Once they get seen and they get heard, what do you think is going to happen to your actual physical reality of being seen and heard by others? When we come together and integrate all of these separate parts inside of ourselves, it has no option but to begin to reflect on our reality so that you actually get to be seen, get to be heard more often. You actually do magnetize people, opportunities, situations that are actually making the process a lot more faster, shorter, more exciting. While, of course, this is a huge part of what I do, this dip, is that sometimes these little parts, they need to connect you with the internal feeling of darkness, so to say. And feeling of darkness is really just feeling sad or feeling alone or all of those things that we have not been allowed to feel. And unfortunately, as we are going after our dreams, we're going to be faced with things that are going to give us rejection, are going to give us fears. And the personal development and high performance worlds, they kind of say, get comfortable with uncomfort, get comfortable, go work through that fear, feel the fear and do it anyway, right? All of this stuff. And it is possible, it is actually possible to get enough of this pressure underneath you that you're going to just plow through the fears and plow through all of those little inner boys and little girls who just feel unsafe. But what do you think is that going to do to your nervous system? This is when we get things like burnout and adrenal fatigue and health issues begin to show up, including losing inspiration, motivation, losing ideas and the visions that we had, losing the drive and motivations that we used to have. And it's all these inner little parts that have been left out a little bit, right? So this is what we're going to be doing, is going after your dreams by addressing all of those things that have been creating the pressure inside of you. And in a way, what we're shifting from is I need to achieve and I need to be productive and I need to create an impact and I need to have meaning and push the world forward. We're sort of saying, I actually want to experience the process of creation with all of its interesting ups and downs and uncertainties and unexpected surprises along the way, so that it becomes a fun journey rather than this dreadful, anxiety-filled push towards a result. Right? We're pulling back all of those needs to achieve certain results. We're using the results as our North Star to see, oh, yes, I would love to go after that. I would love to achieve. And as we begin to make progress towards that, we're going to be faced with certain things. Let's say perceived rejection might come in. That's going to make us feel certain stuff in our bodies. As we feel through it and as we understand what that situation was trying to show me, that maybe some of my ideas need certain kind of shifts or improvements. And I think these moments of rejection that I've resisted before, now not only am I more open to go after risking rejection and risking failure, but I see them as beautiful, synchronistic redirections that are actually making my dreams um, come much faster, much quicker, while at the same time expanding my dreams to a much greater degrees of what is possible that I could not have even imagined from the level of awareness that I had before. Right. So we go from I need to achieve and perform and be useful to the world in some way to impact a million people to, wow, I'm actually here to go after my big dreams. There's a reason why I have it and not other people have them. And if I simply go after these goals, trusting that I'm going to be directed and that I'm going to sit in this river of flow that's going to take me left and right, and I don't need to resist or expect or do anything about it, that I'm going to be shown to be in the right place at the right time, but always. And I simply enjoy the journey, then we actually get to the point that all of a sudden we have impacted a million people by simply loving the journey and the process of discovery and creation. Such an amazing, amazing process. In the meantime, I have actually created amazing resources so far. You can find them on the flowhabit.com website. There's an amazing pressure habit quiz that is going to, one, help you see where you could be currently on this pressure to flow scale. How much pressure do you feel underneath your drive and motivation? And what are the possible ways and how could you get to this complete drive towards your goals while at the same time completely enjoying the journey and being in flow? Right? The pressure habit quiz will give you that sense of identifying, okay, where am I on the scale? And it has an interesting chart for you to discover what are the different 8 core pillars that I have found that have been driving my pressure before, right? And when you do the quiz, you'll get this interesting chart, and I'm curious both to hear your experience of what it's going to be like for you to see that chart visually, to see and notice where you're at on this journey, and then possibly show you what is actually available without giving up on your dreams, without reducing any of this drive, without reducing any of this inspiration that you feel inside to go after your dreams and goals. Right? In a way, this flow habit, it's not about how many spiritual people says, oh, relax and chill and surrender. We're actually, no. We are going to relax our pressure, which is basically we're gonna take off the brake pedal, because in a way, pressure we don't recognize. Numerous studies have proven that having stress levels inside our system shuts down key brain functionalities, which is the cortisol levels and everything else. It just shuts down our imagination and inspiration, creativity, innovation in the brains. And so when we remove that sense of pressure, stress, and anxiety from the mind and brain, it gets to open up to the amazing creative gifts, opportunities, ideas that you and only you with your unique experience can actually help deliver to the world. There's only you. There's nobody else like you. There's nobody else who has had your story, has had your experiences, has had your Pains has your talents and gifts and your motivations and drives. You are a completely unique person who is here to go after all of this stuff. And if you go through that pressure habit quiz, I'm curious to find out how you will see how much that can open up and unleash you to go after your dreams much quicker, actually. And also, as you're going to be looking at the pressure habit quiz, and if you've already done it, I also have the amazing flow habit tracker, which is basically an interesting 4x7 method, which is somewhat productivity system that is going to get you to start to look at your habits and start to look at your daily to-do lists. Yet at the same time, it will help you begin to start to focus your mind on your well-being first, right? The number one question there is, how do I feel today out of 10? And the point with that flow habit tracker is for you to become more aware, more conscious that when you're not feeling 100%, your performance and your accomplishments go down. That it's not just about achieving and feeling like crap while doing so, but at least when I get there, I'm going to feel happy. You'll begin to notice that actually it's the opposite. When you begin to feel whole, complete, and get to feeling 10 out of 10 each morning and every day before you even start your work, what do you think is going to happen but for you to express that love and joy in the world through your creative ideas? Don't you think it's going to be much easier and faster to get all of those dreams and all of those goals done when you're actually operating from a much more joyful place? And so that flow habit tracker is particular 4x7 method that's going to help you to focus on these particular aspects that we're talking about. And it will help you set your mindset during the day, what to focus on, so that you begin to enjoy the journey a little more. And through all of that, as you're going about your day, as you're rediscovering your awareness of your emotional experience of this journey, and how the drive to achieve in the past, coming from the place of not feeling enough and like a failure, is beginning to shift to actually feeling whole and complete and joyful and just overfilling with joy and can't wait but share it. If you'd like to go through that journey and experience, and if you're ready, of course, we have the Flow Habit Academy that we're having a wonderful community coming together of high achievers, learning this new way to flow with life while going after their goals without having to diminish any of your inspirations or drives. And instead, we remove the pressures, we remove the anxieties, we help your mind become more accustomed to feeling joy every day and less of the pressure. And by so doing, we actually unlock your ability to bring your gifts and express in the world, and making the journey much more interesting, allowing a lot of amazing, unexpected surprises come your way in a very short amount of time. So if you feel like this could be benefiting in any way, check out the Flow Habit Academy, and we have our community there. We have our weekly calls where we get to connect live, ask questions. And I'm so excited both to share this message in this public setting through this podcast, through this show, while at the same time giving the opportunity for you, those who are ready to experience it deeper, through all of the offerings that we're creating out in the world. Because, right, this is my gift, this is my unique experience, these are my talents. I'm combining my technical experience with this wonderful, in-depth understanding of human psychology, human behavior, human potential, and share it with you so that you can get in touch with your own gifts and talents. And then you get to ripple it out into the world. And in a way, we're creating a wonderful, wonderful um, network of people who are out to make the world a much more wonderful place to live. It's been an amazing time with you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being open to such a message. If anything in particular spoke to you, I would love to hear from you. You can reach to me on Instagram or through the website. And I look forward to connecting with you in our next time together. Have a beautiful day.